In some respects, there's no such thing as a dirty windscreen, or dirty glasses, or a dirty mirror. And whatever you write on a piece of paper, the piece of paper isn't really affected. Take the dirt off the windscreen, and what do you have? A clean windscreen. Well, that clean windscreen was there before, was there even though there was dirt on the windscreen. These glasses, we say, are dirty. You can see, smudgy. But the clean glass is there prior to the smudge. The smudge is added. The dirty windscreen, the dirt on the windscreen is added. The dirty window, the dirt on the window is added. So our true state, our prior state of already happiness, is always already the case. The open hand is always there, even when it's clenched. The open hand is not affected by the clench or the clenchness. The tissue remains a tissue even when I've blown into it. Or blown my nose, as they say. So we add the self-contraction to our state of already happiness. But the state of already happiness is never ever tainted, is never ever blemished. Our God state is always that. Isn't that wonderful? What a wonderment. What a joy, what a delight. You see, that's why Adidar, my teacher, has said he doesn't want anyone to seek for this. Because seeking is still more self-contraction. Only when you're not seeking will this be the case, which is always already the case. But it will be your realization, it will be your disposition. That which was never born and will never die is our actual condition. Capital C condition. What a joy that is. Absolute joy. Now I'm going to read a little bit from the book called Ishtar, in the prologue, which I've always loved, this prologue. Let's put my glasses on, it will change. See, appearances are not it. When I was young, when I was a teenager, I became what was known as a subdeacon at this particular church, and we were allowed to preach from the pulpit, as it were. It was a rostrum, really. I can always remember saying, don't be deceived by the look of a banana or a black banana. As we know, some of the blackest bananas are the most sweetest of bananas. So don't be disturbed, don't be put off by the outward appearance. He says, the true God is source, C-O-U-R-S-C-E, beyond conditions, beyond visualizations, beyond objects. The true God is love bliss, unsupported and free. You are full of fear, yet you possess psychological mechanisms with which you immunize yourself against your fundamental fear. You experience fear as just a kind of stress or anxiety, a motivation to seek. Yet you are actually looking into the face of that terrible deity of your infinitely magnified separateness. Rather than looking for the source of your fear, you must transcend fear through communion with God. Give yourself up to God. Give yourself up to the divine, truly. Forget yourself. That process is full of God's love bliss and magnifies only God, God's love bliss, not fear. Your reluctance to practice divine communion is a movement toward your fear. The real practice of divine communion always reveals more and more freedom, more and more love bliss, more and more communion with the real God who truly is, not the mere maker of events, but the divine who transcends all, who is all love bliss, who is utterly free, who is not contained, not confined, not supported by conditions. The true divine is utterly without fear and does not cause fear in any experience of it. Your divine communion with God does not cause fear to arise. Notice this. If you truly practice Holy Communion, if you truly practice communion with God, your fear is weakened and purified. The moments of real divine communion have no fear in them. They do not magnify fear. Notice this. This is how you grasp at heart more profoundly that divine communion, the heart of the heart, is truth, because it does not magnify fear. If you practice this way at the heart, even a little bit, there is that much less fear. The sign of your true practice of Holy Communion or Divine Communion, your true communion with God, shows itself as weakening of fear, and this sign inspires you further. When you surrender to the divine person, your fear is weakened and dissolved, so that you go further, you surrender more, you forget yourself more. The worst thing of all is the fear. It is the primal sign of the self-contraction, the root sign of egoity. The more you practice devotion, the less you experience fear, but also the less you experience anxiety. The knot of self-contraction is dissolved, washed through, so that there is less and less of it, and more of the profound investment in the divine love bliss. This is the way of the heart. That is the way of the yoga, of devotion to the divine person. All seeking, all clinging to objectivity, all clinging to objects of any kind intensifies first your anxiety and then your fear. Fear is the first artifact of your egoity. It is behind everything you do. Practice devotion to me moment to moment, and there is less and less of anxiety, less and less of fear, more and more fullness of love bliss. Do you not notice this? The process of self-surrender and self-forgetting relinquishes the point of view of the body-mind. This is how you go beyond the potential of the dark vision, beyond your fear, and beyond your anxiety also. You fear the absence of objective science. You fear the absence of the difference that your body makes and your mind makes. Yet these are exactly the categories of existence you must go beyond in your Holy Communion, Divine Communion. The ultimate delight is bodiless and mindless. See, consciousness which was never born and will never die is bodiless. And mindless. That is the freedom. That is the realization. It is also the context of any work I may do beyond the lifetime of this body, if there is any work left over for me to do. That's Adida, referring to his body. Therefore, you are afraid of death. And afraid of death, you are afraid of the very process that is your freedom. That process is a profoundly, ultimately most perfectly subjective process, not an historical event whereby the cosmic domain disappears as if in opposition to the Big Bang that supposedly made it happen to begin with. Your communion with me is beyond the separate self, therefore beyond the body-mind. By your persistence in this divine communion, you will transcend your fear. Even so, if such transcendence is to occur, the point of view of the body-mind must be relinquished in communion with me. The body-mind is what there is to forget. The self-contraction, yes, but also the context and structure of the self-contraction. Relinquish this point of view. There is mere physical death, but I am talking about surrendering. I am talking about something greater. The true process of self-surrendering and self-forgetting that transcends the point of view of the body-mind. That is the death I am talking about. That death is the import of true religion. That death is not a suicide, not a struggle with the body. That death is communion with the very divine to the degree that you forget the body-mind rather than struggle with it. The body-mind must cease to be your point of view, not merely cease to exist. If you practice this devotion to me, then the point of view of the body-mind, and therefore all the reflection of self-contraction, all the fear, is surrendered and forgotten, dissolved in that surrendering and forgetting. This is how you will unlearn your fear of death. Natural death is just a natural phenomenon. What you fear about it is the fear associated with your self-contraction or the point of view of your body-mind. You enter into my sphere of love bliss by transcending that point of view through divine communion, so that all of your anxiety about natural death and the potential suffering in life likewise vanishes. The event itself, death itself, occurs in any case. It is a natural phenomenon. You must be in my sphere. In that communion with me, your anxieties are released and your fear. Then another destiny becomes yours, just by this surrender, this forgetting, this communion with me, this participation in me, this transition into my sphere. Resort to me and understand yourself. Do not take anything that is conditional seriously. Take the divine, real God seriously. Practice divine communion, surrendering and forgetting your self-position, all your faculties, all apparent relations, all seemings, with nothing to hold on to other than the divine. If you think life is difficult, watch death. Death is a profound intrusion as a merely natural event. My devotees communing with me most profoundly must be released of all the horrors of the suffering of life and also of death. In communion with me, even your intimacies are about surrender, not about consolation, not the holding on, not the congeniality of this appearance here that is presumed to be eternal. Intimate relations, if they exist, even friendships, must be a circumstance of your devotion to me, your surrender, not your holding on, not your consolation. This apparent order is a moment made by your fear. None of it will continue. It is a while that tests you, that tests the choice you will make, to hold on to it or to surrender. Nobody is going to go with you to the whirling place at death, where mind makes existence. Nor is anyone with you now, but God, the divine. Yet on the basis of the point of view of the body-mind, you assume relations and the apparent order and the would-be consolations. You are holding on instead of surrendering. You are creating an idol, an alternative to the divine, made of your consolations, your arrangements, your attempts to fill the anxiety and somehow forget it. The darkness of egoically self-possessed mind after death is a whirling terror. It's not fun, nor are you having real fun now. You are not having any fun at all. You are just deluding yourself to reduce your anxiety. All your arrangements and constellations are just efforts on your part to reduce your anxiety. Yet you are right in the face of this terrible place of your confinement and separateness. You must become serious in my company, serious about the reality in which you are existing and which is making you fear it. You are full of fear and anxiety. Fear and anxiety make you seek and make constellations and arrangements, as if your constellations would go on forever. You must appreciate the game you are playing. You must understand that it is based on fear. You must respond to me and transform every aspect of your life through self-surrender, self-forgetting, making all of life a divine communion rather than an indulgence in things that console you. People who indulge themselves in consolations are not serious about divine communion. I cannot take them seriously. I cannot trust them. Therefore, do this divine communion. Keep on growing. Get closer and closer to me. Be serious. Stay my company. Do not let up for a moment. If you are intelligent, you would not dare let up for a moment. Therefore, become more intelligent. Stay with me, and you can afford to be quiet. Do you ever get quiet? Just quiet. Talking the cool business, the full moonlit night, consciousness attendant to the divine, all energy flowing, even running out of the top of your head like a fountain. Undisturbed, no more seeking, invested utterly in me, that is it, not stimulations and constellations. You are not in a paradise of Western democracy. You are in a terrible night of fear. You keep agitating yourself toward constellations so that you will not have to experience your state, which is superficially anxious and deeply afraid. What you would have in divine communion is a cool, watery, full moonlit night, cooled of stress and desire and consolation, awake to brightness. On that basis, visions of clarity and peace, and then moving beyond them to my love bliss itself, without the slightest image, without the slightest object, without the slightest fear, without any other, not even yourself, an other. No other. No separation, no visions, no objects. Only self-existing being, self-radiant, without limitation. No separate self, no objects, no cosmos, no seeking. Simply divine communion, utterly restless, fearless, unmoved. No place, no going and coming, no conversation, no society, no world, no sex organs, no thing, but fullness itself, not objective. Only God, only brightness, no difference, no relatedness, only happiness, no unhappiness, no threat. This is what there is to be realized, not the mayhem you are manufacturing in your fear and seeking, in your contraction into separateness. Devote your life to this peace beyond difference, this divinity, this communion with the divine. Everything else is just something to be noticed, just a discipline to be applied, more intense practice of this devotion, this holy communion. All the superficial matter temporary, not important. Be still, be washed clean, be mindless, be bodiless, sublime, be God only. We are home now, Lord. That is it, and do not leave. That says it all. Communion with me, the divine person in this case, Adidar, for me, is my Ishtar, my chosen one, the agent. We all need an agent. Every actor has an agent. They wouldn't survive without their agents. Performers on stage, pianists, cellists, musicians, soloists. They need someone to run the business. So they commune with their manager, with their agent. They commune with their agent on a regular basis. No different. An agent to the divine. My link. Divine communion. Maybe I could be your link. Are we lovers? Are we friends? Am I fearful of you? Are you fearful of me? Why be fearful? Are you an open hand Is your body mind open, so open that there is only joy, only delight, only intimacy, fearless, no anxiety, no self-contraction? This is our inherent natural state. Apparently, it needs cleaning up. Apparently, it needs to be washed clean. Apparently, it needs to be purified. But like the windscreen, which is apparently dirty, the windscreen is never, ever dirty. The windscreen is clean and clear. The dirt has been added to the windscreen. It hasn't made a blind bit of difference to the actual windscreen. What will you choose to do between now and your death? Thank you for listening. I have done recordings of the Ishtar book, so you might like to go and listen to those. I'll put a link in the description box. Thank you for listening. There's a picture of Adidar when he was younger. Totally relaxed. Totally sublime. Totally attentive. Open-eyed. No contraction.